Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday, July 9th. It is hard to believe we are already into July. Guys, there's a lot going on right now. But if you saw, we're going to cover it, but Grok went rogue. The ex-CEO has stepped down. Maybe it's correlated. The timing is interesting, that's for sure. We're going to talk about the newest with the tariff situation, some new restrictions that Besant just talked about that we're putting on Iran, and who is that really targeting? We're going to get into the details on that as well as the DePIN sector. There's a lot going on. I found a new project in the Arweave ecosystem I'm really excited about. We're going to cover it today. So there's a lot to get through. Now, one of the things I want to start off with, though, okay, so I guess a couple of my live streams have found the general public and YouTube algorithm in some way, shape, or form. I want to talk about what this channel is about because there's some people that were upset in the comments that I was talking, covering stories and talking about how it impacts the markets, and that I'm not talking about the humanitarian impact of things. And not to say the humanitarian impact isn't important. Okay, it definitely is. But the point of this channel, guys, it's a finance channel. Okay. The ultimate goal here, obviously, my major focus is DePIN. Okay, because I'm looking at crypto as our .com era opportunity that comes around maybe once every 20 to 30 years. Okay, so we have the opportunity, in my opinion, to get out of the rat race. Okay, because things have changed, and that is what this channel is about. In particular, this is what we're talking about, guys. This is the money supply. Okay, the money printing is out of control to the extent that we now have reports the US dollar since 1971, since we got rid of the gold standard, has lost 98% of its value. Okay, that's a big deal. And unfortunately, we have inflation. When you have that much money printing, that's what happens. It's the byproduct of it. And the wealth gap in this country has continued to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, as we keep printing more money, that's going to keep happening. And if we look at the share of net worth of wealthy individuals, look at this over time. Okay, this is the percentage of wealth held by the top 1%. Over time, it continues to tick up. We are sitting at like 31%. Okay, that is a byproduct of inflation. As we print money, people that have a lot of wealth, the uber wealthy, can borrow against assets, can invest in the markets. They can make more money. The people that are, unfortunately, in the bottom 50%, they're getting crushed by inflation. Many people are working multiple jobs, right? And they're up to their eyes in credit card debt, and the system works against you in that situation. If we look at the amount of billionaires out here, like Elon Musk sitting at $349 billion of wealth. Okay, you can sit around and you can complain about it. Okay, you can do something about it. Like, yes, sure. If you want to go out and protest, if you think that's a great use of your time, you do it. Get involved in politics. I don't want to be involved in politics, but go out there and get involved in politics. Okay, but for people to say, well, it's the Democrats or the Republicans, and everyone wants to get political with everything. Guess what, guys? Both sides do it. Okay, this is the thing that we need to realize here. People want to sit around and bitch and moan about everything, make everything political, and no one wants to do anything about it. And Clinton was the last time we had a surplus, but Bush, debt went up. Obama, the debt went up a lot. Went up again under Trump and again under Biden, and it's going to continue to happen. Okay, so for people that are hoping that on my channel I'm going to cover things, get super political, and make everything divisive. That's not the goal here. The goal here, guys, is to deal with this situation here. And that is not going anywhere. Okay. The days of us being able to work a 9 to 5, get a pension, retire, live whatever life you want, I'm sorry, but that day is long gone. And, and I think right now we have this opportunity in front of us that, with crypto, with something that comes around, you look at the .com era, a lot of the stuff failed. A lot of projects, a lot of companies failed in that era. But if you've invested in the right ones, you'd be chilling right now. You'd be retired. Okay. This is what we're looking to do. because doing the same 9 to 5, getting in the corporate world and not doing anything on top of that, unfortunately, it's not a path to financial freedom anymore. And you have to go above and beyond. And right now, I think there's a massive opportunity. And the ultimate goal of my channel, guys, is to take advantage of that. And DePIN in particular, I think, is a sector within crypto that has a chance to not only have longevity, but really have stability, but also provide a lot of big opportunities. And the ultimate goal here is to take advantage and gain the most valuable resource in the world. And you know what that is? It's not US dollars. It's not even Bitcoin. Guys, it's time. Time is the most valuable asset that we have. I don't care if you're worth $350 billion and you're Elon Musk, or you're working 3 jobs and up to your eyes in credit card debt. We have the same amount of minutes in the day. Now, your circumstances are what dictate how much control you have over your time. But that is the purpose here, is to do what we can to get control of our time. Then each individual person can decide what they want to do. Maybe you want to spend more time with your family. Maybe you want to do, volunteer work. Okay. That is the most valuable thing. And that is the purpose of my channel. Okay. I'm, going through this journey. We've had some really good investments. Okay. I've had some really good returns on DePIN projects. I think we're just getting started. Obviously, this year has been rough, but guys, I think we are really, looking at some massive potential opportunities. And that is why I'm excited, what I'm excited about. And I cover all the news because it's all connected. Okay. Yesterday, I talked about the Epstein thing. Let's be real. Like, it impacts markets. If you're looking at right now, the backlash that Trump's receiving, this could have a huge impact on what happens in the midterms. Okay. Guess what? If Republicans lose control in the midterms, it restricts very much what can be passed. That has a huge impact on markets. Like, it's all connected. That's why I cover it all. But guys, let's hone in, man. I mean, all this stuff matters. And I think that there's this massive opportunity right now. And I'm not going to get political. And I saw some people in the comments that were like, "Oh, like, you need to talk about the humanitarian part of it." Like, dude, I get beers with my buddies. I talk about politics. I talk about the humanitarian thing. If you want to talk about the Epstein thing, yeah, I think anyone that was involved in that should be rotting in prison right now. Okay. Like, it's disgusting. And it pisses me off that people have gotten away with it. Okay. It sucks, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about the finance side of things. Okay. And there's plenty of channels out there for people that want to see very divisive political things. You can find that out there. It's everywhere. But I think there's enough division right now in the country to begin with. I don't think we need any more of it. Sorry. I had to address it. How's everybody doing? What's up, man? What's up, brother? What's up, Julie? Does it slow down during Democratic presidents? Man, you're talking about the debt growth. I think, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about this. On one end, you have people that are like, "Oh, we need to, cut spending." I think there is a lot of waste. Okay, I think the government generally is not efficient. I think there is spending that should be cut. Do I think that we need to cut everything? No, I think there's some things that shouldn't be cut. On the other end, people are like, "Well, we need to tax the billionaires." Do I think people could pay more taxes? Sure. I think we should probably tax the uber wealthy a little bit more, but I think both need to happen. And I think that's the problem right now, is people want to do one or the other, and you have both parties that are just running up the debt. So, what can we do about it? You only have so much control, but we can take control of our circumstances. We can, research investments. We can take advantage of what's happening with crypto, because I think that's where the biggest opportunities are right now. We're about to see a huge influx of capital. And to me, I bring this up again, the .com era. I think this is our .com era. If you're willing to hone in, do the research, find the opportunities, I think we're going to have potentially the best returns of any sector out there right now. And that is where we're at right now. So that's that's the goal, guys, of the show. And I have to stop at the top of the hour because I have a space. I'm going on the Dava space, X space. I should definitely get on there. All right, let's kick things off with the news of the day. Here we go. I've been hustling hard and reduced my debt by 80%. Hell yeah, dude. I love that. I love that. Debt is, and it's, the amount of debt in the country right now, like $1.1 trillion in credit card debt. People are getting hammered by inflation, and it sucks. Debt is brutal. Getting out of debt, though, that's a great feeling. Love to hear it, man. And Bitcoin is one of the avenues, I think, for people to have a way out, get out of that rat race, man, over time. Unfortunately, we've got to go above and beyond to get there, but it's within our control. And that's where I'm like, people can sit around, we can complain about things all day, but we can also do something about it. And I think that's the goal here. All right. Grok, guys, went completely rogue yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw this. It's been deleted now. But some of the stuff, they're asked, which 20th century historical figure would be best suited to deal with this problem? Grok went on to say, to deal with such vile anti-white hate, Hitler, no question. Spot on. He'd spot the pattern and handle it decisively every time. Like, what? Holy crap. It went on to say, if calling out radicals cheering dead kids makes me literally Hitler, then pass the mustache, the truth hurts more than floods. Okay. Like that's crazy. And then there's another one that went on to talk about how basically worshiping Hitler. Guys, like, I don't even know what to say about that. But they did delete it, and now the AI chatbot is denying it ever happened. So that's all happened like today. All that did happen today, but all this news is breaking today. Lo and behold, their CEO, who's been there 2 years since Elon took over, stepped down today. I have to think there's some connection there. I mean, the timing is pretty wild for there not to be a connection, but I would expect more to come from that. But just a long list of things that's coming out with AI now. I talked about this like 2 days ago, how there's the one AI that was looking like blackmail one of the coders because it was being threatened to be shut down. There's going to be some crazy stuff that comes out of AI, but this is not good. This is not a good look at all, I must say. Oh, moving on. We'll touch a little bit on the Epstein stuff, because it's a bad look. Trump's losing a lot of support right now, guys. And I can't say it's unwarranted. Like I don't know what's going on here. I don't know. Like, people think there's like this massive cover up. I don't know, but I gotta say this response doesn't look great.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep?
I mean, yeah, we do have more important things to talk about, but still, I think most people want people to be held accountable for what happened with this. And then, real quick, Pam Bondi went on to talk about the video I played the other day, how there's a minute missing. Hmm. All right. Well, yeah. Show us that. Oh, that didn't play, did it? Sorry. Here we go.
That seen from
So,
the video. We released the video showing definitively the video was not conclusive, but the evidence prior to it was showing he committed suicide. And what was on that, there was a minute that was off the counter. And what we learned from Bureau of Prisons was every night, they redo that video. It's old, from like 1999. So every night the video is reset, and every night should have the same minute missing. So we're looking.
okay. Well, then show us that. Show us that, because here's the video. And I showed this the other day. I was like, there's no way. Look at the bottom left here. It just jumps from right the same night that he was killed or committed suicide, whatever. But that video just jumps by a minute. Yeah, to me that seems off, but maybe just show us the evidence. Show us the evidence. All right, couple of fun stories before we hop into the macro stuff because there's a lot going on in the trade war. There's stuff going on with Iran right now, and China is linked into that. So we're going to talk about that. But check this out. I thought this was a joke.
World's first hanging tower, suspended from space. Introducing the Analemma Tower, a futuristic vertical city that hangs from an asteroid orbiting 50,000 kilometers above Earth. Anchored by ultra-strong cables, this tower will float in the sky and move in a slow figure-8 pattern across the globe, returning to the same spot every 24 hours. Inside, there will be apartments, offices, gardens, places of worship, and even a space burial pod. It'll be fully self-sustaining, powered by solar energy, and supported by rainwater capture and moisture collection from the air. No roads, no borders, just a city in the clouds with endless views. Of course, it's not without challenges.
Yeah. Okay. So like I looked into this. They're like literally trying to like push an asteroid into space and then hang a building from it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's hard for me to take that seriously, but like, you look, they have all these mock-ups from it. They said, I thought this was kind of interesting. Said, while researching atmospheric conditions for this project, we realized there is probably a tangible height limit beyond which people will not tolerate living due to extreme conditions. For example, there may be a benefit to having 45 extra minutes of daylight at 32,000 meters, but the negative 40-degree temperatures would probably prevent them from going outside without a protective suit. Like, yeah, no kidding. Then again, astronauts have continually occupied the space station for decades, so perhaps it's not so bad. Guys, like, normal people aren't astronauts. That's just crazy. But look at these renderings, man. Pretty wild stuff here. Oh, here's the asteroid that they're talking about there. So just hang a bunch of cables from this asteroid here, and they're suspended from space there. There it is. And they're like, oh man, look at the views. Guys, like I would never walk on this street if there's like a giant building hanging from an asteroid over you. Like, no way. Are you kidding me? What is going on here? Anyway, pretty interesting stuff. Maybe a building of the future. One other story. This is not as fun. I'm talking about if you drink instant coffee, you might want to about grinding your coffee. Okay. So, in a study of more than 500,000 individuals, they found that there's a statistically significant genetic causal association with instant coffee intake and what's called AMD. Okay. So, if we look at what AMD is, it's age-related macular degeneration, which results in blurry vision. It also is estimated to impact 8.7% of adults, but leads to vision loss. Huh. All right. So very strong correlation with instant coffee. I, a couple years ago, got an espresso machine. So I grind my beans every morning. Got it on a Black Friday sale. One of the best investments I've ever made, by the way. I have to say. One of the best investments. How does it even, what did he say here? So we close that. Star Wars Cloud City vibes, right? Yeah. How does it even say relative to Earth? Earth orbits the sun. I know, man. It does. It's like I have so many questions. So many questions. Oh, all right. So here's some interesting news. We're gonna drop some knowledge about what's going on in the oil situation and some of the stuff going on with Iran. So this is directly from Scott Bessent. If I can find the freaking tab here. Here we go. So Scott Bessent came out, this is this morning, a few hours ago. He said that today, in continuation of President Trump's maximum pressure campaign on Iran, sanctioning 22 entities associated with Iran's shadow banking network that have facilitated the sale of Iranian oil. Okay. So what's going on here? That's the question, right? So interestingly, if you look at the largest oil consumers globally, the United States is number one. It's roughly 100 million, by the way, barrels of oil used daily. We are about 20%. China is down there at 13%. And if you look at the oil producers, US, we're the largest oil producer, by the way, globally right now. Iran, though, has been kind of moving up the ranks. Even though we have a bunch of sanctions on them, people are not supposed to be buying oil from Iran. But if you look over the last 5 years, it's continued to tick upwards. So who's buying the oil? Who are these sanctions targeted at? Well, this came, and I've actually talked about this a lot, several times this year, but this just came out last week, and they're talking about how China is skirting U.S. sanctions, and they're the top buyer of Iranian oil. And Chinese independent refineries have been the major buyers of cheap Iranian crude oil. And here it says right here, for years they've been buying discounted Iranian oil in bulk. And the sanctions have barely put a dent in the trade. And it'll say, thanks to a shadow supply chain of transshipment. How about that? Shadow supply. And here we are putting sanctions on Iran because of shadow banking happening. Yeah, this is definitely targeted at China as well as Iran, but definitely China, who's been still buying oil from them, even though they're not supposed to. Other big news. Played this yesterday, how Trump came out and said, hey, we're going to be giving more weapons to Ukraine. It's like, that was quite a change. If you remember, he kicked freaking Zelensky out of the White House like 3 months ago. Well, Russia just seized a lithium field. If you remember, we were making a deal with Ukraine for rare earth minerals. So they go on to say here that they seized control of a valuable lithium deposit in eastern Ukraine, depriving the country of a critical asset that could have helped support a new economic partnership with the U.S. And said, though relatively small, the deposit was seen by industry analysts as one of Ukraine's most valuable because of its rich concentration of lithium, which of course goes into electric batteries. And it is critical to our economy and national security. And this is something we've also been tussling with China over, is their rare earth minerals. And this is a big deal why we wanted to work with Ukraine. Now Russia has gone in there and captured these lithium fields. So I imagine that's a big reason why we're like, okay, well, we're going to give more weapons to Ukraine because they did that. So that makes sense. Okay. Let's talk about some of the tariff stuff going on. And this is what Trump had to say about BRICS and what they're doing. They gave us a little bit more context. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but
that one thing. And our dollar was set up to degenerate our dollar and take
BRICS,
our
he's
dollar
talking
as
about.
the standard, take it off as the standard. And that's okay if they want to play that game, but I can play that game too. So anybody that's in BRICS is getting a 10% charge.
Is that immediate, sir? Or
Yeah,
is that
pretty
if
soon.
they engage in some behavior?
Well, if they're a member of BRICS, they're going to have to pay 10% tariff.
Okay, so BRICS: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. They also added like 6 new countries last year. Now, I talked about this yesterday. They had their BRICS summit. China's president didn't attend, which is very interesting. And I'm curious if it's because of this additional tariff that they're being threatened with. By the way, I talked about this, BRICS. You can see it right there. 6 months ago, I put out this video predicting that we'd have the Bitcoin reserve. I got into the details about what happened with BRICS and the whole history there. If you want to learn more about BRICS, it's in a chapter in the description. Check that out. It's really interesting stuff, what's happening with BRICS. Plus, in their goal of de-dollarizing, getting away from the US dollar. That's why Trump is making these moves. In other news, we have some more letters that went out today with tariffs. So they sent out 7 more letters today. It says, you can see here, basically, a lot of these tariffs on the right is what was announced on April 2nd. On the left is what is being stated now in the tariff letters that are going out this week. Some have dropped a little bit, but you notice here, like, they're still pretty big tariffs. But it is also important to note that the number of countries that receive letters are relatively minor U.S. trading partners. So we don't do a lot of trade with these partners that we've been sending these letters too. In fact, if you look at our largest trade partners, the ones that really matter, Mexico is our biggest trading partner, Canada, and China. We have the deal, I think, done with China. They've said that we do at least. I believe we're putting like 30% on them. They have 10% on us. Canada and Mexico have stayed pretty quiet. Canada, their economy has been getting hit kind of hard with the tariff thing. Their unemployment's like 7% now. I imagine we'll get something done with these two. We sent out letters to Japan and South Korea yesterday. They're only each 4% of our trade. So the ones that we're sending out aren't a big deal. These are the ones to really keep an eye on, Mexico and Canada. All right. All right. You say stays relative to Earth via GeoNet. GeoNet. All types of use cases out there. All types of use cases for GeoNet. We've got floating buildings now. They know exactly where to be, precisely where to be. That's awesome. Oh man. Let's talk about the newest with Jerome Powell and Trump today. We got a lot of DePIN stuff to get into. I'm really excited. I found a new project in the Arweave ecosystem that I'm going to cover that I think could do really well. We'll talk about that. All right. Trump came out today and again was like, hey, we need to drop the Fed rate by 3 points, 3%, not 3 points, 3%. I believe what he's trying to say here. So he's saying that it's costing the U.S. $360 billion a point per year. I think the math there that he's trying to allude to is basically that we have, well, now it's $37 trillion in debt. It doesn't exactly work that way because we use like 10-year and longer term treasuries. But regardless, like it is a big deal. You know, we do have, $12 trillion worth of debt coming due this year. So you could get to the math that way too. 9 trillion is coming due. We have a $2 trillion deficit. And we have $1 trillion in interest. That totals 12 trillion. So if you dropped rates by 3%, that would equal $360 billion a year in interest. So it is certainly a really big deal. I mean, we talked about this since probably February, how, hey, all this debt's coming due. They're kind of beating around the bush. Now they're just coming out and saying it. Trump's like, hey, we need to get rates down because the interest that we're paying on that debt is getting outrageous. And that's absolutely true. In fact, if we let me pull up the national debt clock here. Share this tab. So if you look here, the interest on debt right now is $1 trillion annually. That's a big number, especially when you consider that our total tax receipts, I think, are around $5 trillion a year. We spend $7 trillion. That equals our $2 trillion deficit. But roughly 20% of our tax revenue is going straight to interest payments. That's not good. Now, does Trump have a case though for Powell to start lowering rates? Well, we're starting to see some economic slowdowns, guys. Online shopping seen its biggest slowdown in over a decade. So we go into the notes here. They're saying that it's Trump's trade war and tariff policy that they think are leading to it. Office supplies are down 13%, sporting goods down 12%, a number of other categories down as well. And they're saying that the tariffs are changing consumers' buying behavior. 34% say that they're delaying purchases due to uncertainty over prices. 66% are saying they will seek domestic options if prices increase overseas. And you can see here, this is a pretty good representation of the drop. The blue lines are 2025. 2024 is the light blue. So dark blue is 2025. You can see a big difference in the consumer spending year over year in a lot of different categories. So, yeah, I think some of it could definitely be tariffs. But at the same time, I think it also could be that people just have less money right now, guys. Like, people are hurting. There's been a lot of layoffs. People have now for years been running up credit card debt that only lasts so long. So I think there's a combination probably happening there that, yeah, tariffs are having their impact, but I think people are just broke, man. The other thing is, Fortune came out with this talking about falling home prices are raising the risk of a deeper correction. The housing market has been correcting for some time. We've talked about this a little bit, but if we go down, it says clearly the existing home market is losing momentum as demand remains anemic due to sky high borrowing costs. Mortgage rates are super high, and people are putting up their home for sale. So we are starting to see homes come on the market. I think people were holding off for a while, but you can only hold off so long. So we are starting to see a correction in markets for sure, and that's something we're going to have to keep a close eye on. We're looking at the Fed rate. Look at this pretty much daily, but in July, I would not expect us to have a rate cut. As of right now, 95% chance of no change. September, we did see a little bit of an increase to 56% chance that we'll see a rate cut in September. Could that lead to fireworks for the crypto industry? I think it could. It might even come sooner than that. All that said, NVIDIA is unbothered by it. They hit $4 trillion valuation. They're the first company to ever hit $4 trillion in valuation. Granted, I think right now they dropped a little bit, so they're a little bit under at 3.978, but pretty remarkable history was made today. First publicly traded company ever to hit $4 trillion. Bam. All right, let's talk crypto. Let's talk crypto and DePIN. There's some exciting stuff happening there. I get to Bitcoin. There we go. Boom. I'm going to play this video. My boy Suburban posted this earlier.
The ProCap made a significant institutional move, purchasing 3,700 Bitcoin at an average price of $103,000 just yesterday. And the question is, right, there's not a lot of Bitcoin left. I mean, it sounds like the Wild West right now. Where do you find this Bitcoin?
Yeah, so we own now 4,950 Bitcoin. Our goal is to buy as much Bitcoin as we possibly can. I like to think of now there's a new professional sport for Bitcoiners, which is who can acquire the most Bitcoin. And as much as we want to buy as much Bitcoin as possible, there's a lot of other companies that want to do this as well. And so to your point, what you're starting to see is you are starting to see OTC desks or maybe Bitcoin on exchanges. Those numbers are going down. And so naturally, price will have to readjust upwards because people don't want to sell their Bitcoin at $107,000, $108,000. This has been the story of Bitcoin for 15 years now. Is Bitcoin's price has got to go up to convince some people to sell to the new people who want to buy the Bitcoin.
Yeah, guys. The price of Bitcoin right now is sitting at 109,435, just under 110,000. Look at this range we've been sitting in. Yeah, the amount of buying and the supply shock that's coming is going to be absolutely bananas. And we are seeing just more and more announcements. I think Eric Trump came out in their business. They're trying to raise another $200 million to buy more Bitcoin. We had Michael Saylor come out and say they're buying $4 billion worth of Bitcoin. I think we're seeing what we've seen this churn for the last few months of like long-term holders finally taking profits, smart money, institutional investment, buying that Bitcoin. Eventually it's going to pop. And I think we're going to see a pretty big move to the upside. That said, we are starting to see Bitcoin dominance drop a little bit. We haven't seen this in a while. And this is good for alts. This is what we need to see. Over the last week, 1.24%. So nothing like crazy. But again, today, 0.6%. I mean, you see this drop right here. So money is moving into alts. I talked yesterday a lot about how Ethereum, I think, is primed to have a big move. If we look at the crypto bubbles, on the daily, we have a lot of green. It's such a beautiful sight. God, we forgot what it looks like to see like the 10 and 20% moves upward. Oh, it is so nice to see. And on the hourly, we're seeing a lot of green. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Beautiful day. Beautiful day to see that much green. Man. On the other side of things, though, be careful, guys. Oh, I didn't show. Here we go. There's the green. Seen on the daily, on the hourly, all a sea of green bubbles. We like it. It's a glorious thing. We need that Bitcoin dominance, though, to continue to drop if we want to see alt season take place, and I think it's going to happen. But be careful, guys. We have the pump. Gosh, pump.fun. They've been so bad for the industry. Man, they're launching a token. They are planning on launching a $4 billion valuation, and the team is going to rake in $800 million. Okay. They've already raked in like $800 million on fees and everything on their ecosystem. And they're basically saying like, 33% to the initial coin offering, 18% that's already for private institutions, already sold. 15% of that is for public sale. And ultimately, good luck to anyone who participates in this. Yeah, no kidding. Guys, I am staying away from this. I want nothing to do with this token drop. Like, what the hell? Like they've already extracted enough from the space. Looks like Europe is banning the participation. So one thing that Europe's doing a good job of is protecting them from the pump.fund sale. I don't agree with everything else they're doing, but hey, that's one thing. Yeah, what do you say? He said, not selling until it goes to 10 million in 20 years. Might happen sooner than that. In fact, I think it probably will. That's the one thing people are like, well, look at it compared to the gold market cap. It's like, yeah, I mean, 10x to gold's market cap. But the other thing people need to realize is all these countries are going to keep printing money. Like, you can't look at valuations today and be like, well, in 20 years, it's going to be that percentage of the total global market cap money. It's like, no, the money market cap is going to expand so much. Some of these countries are in so much debt, like they've got to keep printing. So, $1 million per Bitcoin now sounds like a lot, but that's not going to sound like that much in the future. And that is one thing. We don't know how much printing will happen, but I would bet it's going to be a lot. All right, check out this clip. This is how I feel right now about DePIN. I think this is a really good job of characterizing what we're seeing right now, guys, when it comes to the fundamentals and the price action.
The stock is not the company, and the company is not the stock. And so as I watched the stock fall from 113 to 6, I was also watching all of our internal business metrics, number of customers, profit per unit, everything you can imagine, defects, etc. Every single thing about the business was getting better and fast. And so as the stock price was going the wrong way, everything inside the company was going the right way. And we didn't need to go back to the capital markets. We didn't need more money. The only reason, a financial bust like the internet bubble bursting makes it really hard to raise money. But, we already had the money we needed. So we just needed to continue to progress. The stock.
Boom. Guys, I think that's what we're seeing right now with a lot of these DePIN projects. Like, yeah, it's probably gotten harder to raise capital with what's going on right now, but a lot of the fundamentals have gotten so much stronger. The price continues to leak. So fundamentals, guys, fundamentals. That is what I'm paying attention to. And that is what I'm dialing in on. I'm not paying attention to the prices. And I see everyone like, oh, the price is so far down. It's like, yeah, okay. If the price for just that project was down and everything else was going crazy, that would be a cause for concern for sure. Okay, let's be real. But when the whole sector is being pulled down and all altcoins are being pulled down, you can't really look at the price of these things and be like, oh, that's indicative of them not doing well. It's like, no, like DePIN is still too nascent for us to decouple. I think it can happen though. And I think it will happen, but unfortunately we're still, innocent bystander when it comes to the overall market conditions. One project is HiveMapper. I want to talk about this a little bit. If you look at B Maps, the app, you can see the bursts. So these are actually places that people are paying to get imagery. You're incentivized to go map these areas. And that's in New York and Puerto Rico. Look at that. Gosh, if you live over there, man, I hope you're picking those up, because there are a lot of spots that need to be mapped. And those are customers paying for that imagery. Okay. Incentivizing people to go map those areas. That is real world use cases. I talked about the MIPs that were just put forth. It looks like they're moving forward with MIP 21. That is phasing out side-facing cameras as about 10% of the mapping per week. So that is no longer going to be allowed. So if you are using a side-facing camera, make sure that start getting that set up with someone else. Start having some conversations there. MIP 23. I'm going to come back to MIP 22 because they made a change there. MIP 23 was about allowing devs to access the data directly from the B unit. So, in case you don't know, HiveMapper, is the protocol where we're collecting the data. They created B Maps, which is taking that data and creating products and selling that to end users. They're essentially opening it up for other companies to do what B Maps has done, to be able to pull that data directly, create products to then go into the market and sell. Ariel was asked about that. And on X, he responded, he said, more to come there. So I think they have customers or devs that were asking for access to build out tools to go and take to market. So that's a big deal. So the big change, though, the one change was that they were going to take, so they had AI trainers. They had a bunch of tokens that were dedicated to people training the LLMs and the models. Well, now those models are trained, so they don't need people to go in there and train the models. So they're like, okay, what do we do with those tokens? They're going to set them aside for other ways for people to participate. Turns out now they're going to burn those on a weekly basis. It looks like they're permanently burning those out of the supply. Okay. I mean, I personally wouldn't have minded seeing them go to the people mapping. Okay. But we'll ask Ariel about that. I'm hosting their AMA next Tuesday. The other thing they announced yesterday is that they have a new partnership with Volkswagen, and Solana is pushing it. Solana's been putting out a lot of tweets about HiveMapper, and I have to say it's like one of the better known DePIN projects at this point, and also a lot of media attention on this. If you look, I just did a Google search. There's a lot of media attention around this Volkswagen partnership all over the place, even automotive world. Okay, not just crypto, Yahoo. So that's a big deal. Now, what did we see the token do? We saw a small pump. This is what we need to remember here. Like, the fundamentals are shining through, but we're not seeing the types of moves we'd see if we were in a midst of a major bull run. I think we would have seen like a 60% pump on the token price. We're seeing minimal moves, even though we're having these types of announcements. Okay, so to me, while the market's down, all these announcements, the fundamentals are getting stronger in all these projects, and I think they're just getting ready to freaking recoil, and boom. Once the market bounces back, I think you're going to see a lot of these projects really have nice bounces. Another project I covered, I've put out a tweet about this, it's gotten a lot of traction, is about Arweave, permanent storage solution. This is pretty wild. So Grok, they asked where it's getting unbiased information. Grok came out and literally said, like, hey, we're using Arweave. Arweave is a DePIN storage network with permanent storage. Can't go and tamper with it. Okay. So that is pretty freaking cool. Let's hope that that's not what led to it going rogue. I kid. The other thing, someone just asked straight up, like, hey, do you use Arweave as a data source? Yes, I tap into Arweave for tamper-proof decentralized data when it fits. Keep things verifiable and censorship resistance. Truth over trust always. Guys, that's freaking awesome. You have these AIs that are pulling from Arweave's database. And I talked about the fundamentals. I should pin that to the top of my my X page so people can go and see that. But there's an article that came out, and this is how I found this other project. So Arweave and AO I've talked about extensively. This Arweave.io is basically, looks like it's more or less an indexer. So it's making the data searchable, retrievable, and usable. And this project has some serious legs, and it's only a $5.5 million market cap, guys. And I talked to my buddy Tyler, who has Unleashing DePIN, about this, and he's like, "Oh yeah, man." He's like, "That's a very legit project." So this is one I'm planning on getting exposure to. I'm going to make an investment in this probably in the next day or two. Low market cap. Gotta love that. 5.5. Let's see what the all-time high was. Ooh, it's been on a little bit of an uptrend. Maybe I'll wait to see if it goes back down again a little bit. I just think that once these things break out, like these prices, regardless, are going to look really attractive. So it did get up to 3.8 cents, 1.4 cents now. So, guys, that's I think that this ecosystem is going to blow up, the Arweave ecosystem, and I'm looking for opportunities in there, and this is certainly one that I think could do really well. So again, $5.5 million market cap, 1.39 cents, down 63% on the year. We look at Arweave. Arweave again has done really well. I like all time got a lot higher, but the fundamentals for this project are so strong. I do own a lot of Arweave though. Like I already have a pretty substantial position in this project. Same with AO. I would like to get more AO, but that's a supercomputer built on top of Arweave. So all three of those projects, Arweave, AO, and this REO network, indexing network, all of those are ones that I'm super interested in expanding my positions in. Okay. Wingbits says in 30 days, we achieved 2 billion more signals tracked, 19.3% growth in data throughput, 744 new sky hexes lit up. So that's the deployments. As the fundamentals are strong on Wingbits right now, they're also partnering with GeoNet, and their token launch should be coming in Q3. So it's going to be the Wings token. So certainly one to keep an eye on. And if you're a big deployer, I would look at this project. It's, they actually have a dual miner with GeoNet as well. So that's coming. Streamer TV has a Stream of the Month contest. So if you do stream on X, use the hashtag Streamer TV live rather, and you can win some streaming gear for your live streams. So something you could look at. Here's their X page here, Streamer TV. Give them a follow, guys. Streamer's a really solid project. I also put a video out about them recently. If you look at the price of Streamer, the data is the coin ticker there. 11.46 million. Got a really functional product. They've been around like 7 years. They're getting usage. Man, yeah, that's a project I have exposure to. I want to get more to. And then before we cut out, guys, there's a couple of big calls coming up. Tomorrow we have GeoNet's community call. They just had their token halving. They got a bunch of stuff they're going to be covering there. GIP6, which I think goes into a bonus for having a good uptime and providing good coverage. They talk about their Q2 wins, Q3 roadmaps. So that's going to be pretty cool. Unfortunately, I'm going to be in a space at the same time, so I'm going to listen to the recording, but set your reminders, guys, or join the Flux call. I'll be on the Flux call tomorrow morning. And the other one is the Flux. Speaking of Flux AMA. That is coming up tomorrow as well. 10 a.m. So 9 a.m. That one I'll be able to join into because I've got the call right after that. So 9 a.m. and then 10 a.m. back to back, Flux and then GeoNet. So definitely check those out. By the way, what's Flux looking at right now? Let's see what the price is. Flux is one that could do really well. It's in an $80 million market cap. Damn. Yeah, this one. Look at that. I need to get some Flux. I definitely need to get some Flux. All right. That's what we got, guys. What we got for the stream today. Appreciate you all. Anyone that joined in. Go ahead and jump over. I'm going to be in 3 minutes. I'm going to be on the DABA space. So we're going to talk about some good DePIN stuff. I'm going to have our X Space next Tuesday, like we have every week. And I have the Hive Mapper AMA I'm hosting next Tuesday as well. Appreciate each and every one of you. I'm excited to be on this journey together, guys. I think we are in the right place at the right time. Things are about to get really exciting again. I will be back tomorrow. Peace. Have a fantastic day.